January was one of the driest on record. February and March brought battering gales, and then in May came frosts which devastated opening buds and blossoms. But all that seems to be just a memory when you look at Chelsea 1997, which gives you a touch of the tropics.
There are no less than 733 exhibitors at the 1997 show, individually selected by the Royal Horticultural Society from a list of applicants that grows ever longer year by year. Most will have been exhibiting here for many years, and some even from the first spring show to be held at the Chelsea site in 1913. Others are making their debut after being invited to appear at Chelsea, having excelled at one of the other 20 flower shows the RHS organised all over Britain last year. There are 25 outside gardens at this year's show, including some of the largest ever to be seen at Chelsea, at a cost of anything between £10,000 and £300,000. Over the 5 days the show runs, they and the exhibits inside the Grand Marquee will be scrutinised by a handful of judges, hundreds of photographers and 170,000 visitors. What's so easy to forget is that this, the world's most famous flower show, has been created in just 21 days. Although they've been planning for it for 18 months, the contractors were only allowed onto the 11-acre site in the grounds of the Royal Hospital on the 30th of April. As the day went by, the huge marquee at 3.5 acres, it's the largest in the world, gradually began to take shape. Around it, a small army of workers regularly appeared from nowhere in the short bursts of sunshine that interrupted the rain, hail and snow blizzards of early May, and worked like demons against the clock. Soon the lawns and borders, which are normally the quiet and exclusive preserve of dog walkers and Chelsea pensioners, were ripped up and transformed into what at first looked uncomfortably like a giant construction site. This year the Chelsea site really only started to come alive just a few days before opening, and many intriguing, even teasing sights there were to be seen. They're a secretive lot, though. Tantalisingly, many designers and their teams are reluctant to give anything away until their creations are completely finished. Now, what's all this about? It obviously involves water. Can you give us any other details?
Well, it's a clock, that's all I can tell you. It's in the very early stages of installation. It's a bit of a mess. I'd appreciate it if you'd come back in a couple of days, when we will be unveiling it and it'll be fully operational. It's a clock, yes.
Wow, powerful colours. They'd asked us not to film in here yet, but well worth a go.
Excuse me? Sorry.
The first in what will become a seamless torrent of vans and lorries heralds the arrival of the real stars of Chelsea, the flowers and plants. It could be midsummer, yet with the recent extraordinary vagaries of the weather, a succession of hot spring days and frosty nights which has first encouraged growth and then killed it, not surprisingly, nervous nurserymen have left bringing their plants out of the protection of their glasshouses until the very last moment. Since these plants are being brought to Chelsea not just from every corner of Britain but from all over the globe, timing your arrival successfully requires a careful study of the London weather forecast and a lot of luck. Some exhibitors left it so late this year they had to work through Sunday night to get everything ready in time. Some cut flowers had to be left late so they're at their best. But on the W.S. Warmenhoven stand, things are definitely not going to plan. Unfortunately, the tulips don't seem to have coped with the journey from Holland at all well.
Pity. Here you have all the tulips.
Oh dear, Holland's most famous flower condemned to an early exit from Chelsea 97. As so often here though, first thing next morning with judging just hours away, and you'd never know anything had ever been amiss. The monument site is not only the most prestigious in the marquee, it's also, at 4,250 square feet, the largest, so only the biggest companies can afford to take it on. This year, it's not cuts from Woodbridge in Suffolk, and because of the size of the task, they were one of the first to start work. Among the hundreds of hardy trees, shrubs and climbers, in all Knot Cuts have brought over 2,000 plants to the show. Workmen have built a raised platform around the monument, the first time this has happened since 1969. The vista of the marquee from the platform is outstanding. Below stretch 3.5 acres of horticultural delight. This year, perhaps more than any other, there's no escaping the practical concerns of gardening. Water, or rather the lack of it, is an inescapable theme. On Knot Cut's south-facing wall are many plants specially adapted for dry conditions. Phormiums have thick strap-like leaves and deep roots. Cardoons have grey, hairy leaves to trap moisture. And the agapanthus, with its distinctive blue flower heads, has wide fleshy roots that help it to survive in dry conditions. Pershore College's drought-resistant plantings offer more good ideas. Grasses, succulents and plants with waxy leaves and small leaves, all designed to make your garden beautiful even in times of a hosepipe ban. By contrast, the Paradise Centre has a garden in the shade. Here are plants for low light conditions with large, broad leaves to catch any available light, and often with very pale flowers to give the illusion of light. Even the smallest garden can find room for a few alpines. They normally appear growing over rocks and stones. But Darcy and Everest, appropriate name for a rock plant specialist, show how they can be grown between slabs and flagstones where the weeds would normally take up residence. This Primula capitata, is unusual in that it's a summer flowerer. And this Saxifraga atrorubens is new from Poland. Proving that small really is beautiful, bonsai from Tokonoma Bonsai in Hertfordshire. A team from Cook's Garden Centre at Starport-on-Severn, Worcestershire, have created a most elaborate display for their hanging baskets. In all, over 80 hanging baskets and patio plants of every conceivable shape and size. From the students of Cannington College in Somerset, the outdoor-indoor garden, from the front garden, through a sumptuous sitting room, to the patio, a brilliant combination of horticulture and floral design. The Latin flavour, courtesy of quotations from Virgil, is the key to the Daily Telegraph American Express Contemporary Classical Garden. Just one of a wonderful selection of some of the largest and most expensive gardens ever seen at Chelsea. It's an ambitious attempt by designer Christopher Bradley Hole to harmonise the 2,000-year-old classical world of Virgil and the classical poets with the kind of practical, living garden one might expect in the shadow of a very modern, high-tech building. A number of gardens at Chelsea this year have a distinctly Victorian feel. This is the Bradstone Celebration of Victoriana, which recreates a typical formal garden of the age. The bothy and dovecot are constructed using materials and techniques of 100 years ago, and all the plants were those available in the 1890s. It's designed by Alan Sargent, who's built 30 gardens for Chelsea over the years, and as we'll be discovering, has been working very hard indeed this year. His centrepiece, a sunken garden pool containing a formal box and lavender design. The idea of insuring your home against the risk of theft, damage or fire was a very Victorian concept. The preferred direct insurance garden celebrates the year 1887, when what became known as home contents insurance came into being for the first time. Designed by Julian Dowell, this is a superb attempt to capture the horticultural flavour of the period. That clock is in fact powered by water. The yellow ball is the hour hand, the long black arm the minute hand. Because time and music are the essence of the EMI Group's creative century, celebrating 100 years of the recording industry. Designed by David Stevens, amusing musical references are around every corner, including Nipper, the famous His Master's Voice dog. Ultra-modern materials such as galvanised steel, mirrors and glass, combined with rich timber decking, reflect the high-tech but practical feel to the Yardley contemporary Baroque garden. Designer Stephen Woodhams has made startling use of his material, which is highlighted by fanciful Baroque finials and detailing. The Baroque theme is emphasised by the dramatic use of a geometric tapestry of deep reds and purples. Some Chelsea gardens begin life in the most unusual places. For months, the workshops of Her Majesty's Prison Ley Hill in Gloucestershire have been busy constructing the dovecot and summerhouse that will take pride of place in Wyvale Garden Centre's Cotswold Garden. They're building one of this year's big Chelsea gardens, and for the big trees they need, designers Christine Pritchard and Ian Taylor have been to one of the country's most famous arboreta, Westonbirt. Using the ultimate in tree-moving technology, 8 fully mature specimens are being dug up and taken to London. Some of these trees are over 60 years old, and in one of the best planned and most delicate operations of its kind ever mounted, they're soon on their way to Chelsea. The result is enchanting. Among the trees, the mellow tones of natural Cotswold stone combine with herbaceous plants in shades of yellow, white and blue, selected for their texture and form. Wye Vale are thought to be one of the very few companies to have won 3 consecutive gold medals for their gardens, and this year they're going for a 4th.
It's not just new plants that you find here, you can also spot old ones that you somehow missed first time around. That's the case with me and this fuchsia called Chang. Brilliant, vibrant, vermilion orange, and in this case grown as the most magnificent standard. Huge sturdy stem, great head of branches on the top. How old do you think this is? Would you believe me if I told you it was just 18 months old? You see, when you grow them as skillfully as White Vale fuchsias do, you don't need me to tell you how to do it.
A group from Cheshire is representing the National Council for the Conservation of Plants and Gardens at this year's show. They're all volunteers who finance the display from their own pockets, and only plants from Cheshire are featured. They include a new cultivar of Osteospermum, Caroline irata, named after the granddaughter of Alan Simpson, founder of the National Collection. The basis of this lovely display is a selection of plants from Ness Botanical Gardens, brought to Britain by Arthur Bully, who financed many plant hunting expeditions, as well as founding the famous Bees Seeds Company. From Mexico, Arizona, California and South Africa, the cacti of Southfields, cultivated at their nurseries in Lincolnshire. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, forms the centrepiece of Jekka McVicker's Love and Marriage Garden. Here, each herb is labelled with the language of love. Viola, the wild pansy, is Think of Me. Myrtle is for love, and gorse stands for ardour. This Tuscan blue rosemary means your presence revives me. A quick snack on a blue bottle would revive these pitcher plants from the Carnivorous Plant Society's garden. From Millbrook Garden Centre, the Seafarer's Garden. You can almost smell the salt air. Soft foliage contrasts with the architectural spires of grasses and robust agaves. The water feature is designed to add an extra dimension of light and sound. Caerhays is a romantic Gothic castle which lies cradled in a small valley overlooking the sea at Porthlooney Cove in Cornwall. It's the ancestral home of Charles Williams of Burncoose Nurseries, whose stand at Chelsea this year is celebrating 100 years of horticultural history at Caerhays. The castle was designed by John Nash, who also built the Brighton Pavilion and Buckingham Palace. One of the very few Nash castles to survive, it's the perfect backdrop to a stunning garden famous for the range and beauty of its rhododendrons, camellias and azaleas. The gardens were developed by one J.C. Williams, an early RHS member, who retired from politics in order to indulge his passion for gardening. He started a gardening diary a century ago and chronicled new arrivals from all corners of the globe. This magnolia, for example, Magnolia stellata, arrived in 1897, the year the diary was begun. And these two camellias, Camellia saluanensis and Camellia japonica, were crossed by J.C. to produce the world-renowned Williamsii camellias. In time, Caerhays became one of the main distribution centres for new plants sent back by the famous Victorian plant collectors of the time. It's a tradition that continues today.
Burncoose has been in the Williams family since 1715. Caerhays was bought by the Williams family in 1860, and Really, so for over 100 years, the two gardens have been run very much in tandem, with very much the same plants coming into the gardens and being grown up in both gardens in much the same way. What we're trying to do is to find new plants from overseas and from our own propagation and from crossing and hybridizing, and to introduce those plants into the horticultural market. There are garden centres everywhere, many of them are growing the same thing. We're trying to grow different plants, which are new plants that people don't know. We just yesterday had a batch of seed in from Russia, from a Russian seed company who now are able and ready and willing to trade with us. It took a month for the seed to come, but in the packets are two magnolias which are not known to cultivation in this country.
On site, and soon the vast mock-up of Cahays begins to take shape. And by way of contrast, lots of ideas for how to make the best of very small gardens, particularly how to make a garden look much larger by using plants and paths to change perspectives and create depth. B-Sky B constructed the front of a farmhouse in Provence for a garden inspired, says designer Fiona Lawrenson, by Peter Mayle's best-selling book A Year in Provence. With a backdrop of strong terracotta colours, clipped greenery provides an underlying structure to the planting. Like the book, it all adds up to an irresistibly relaxing atmosphere. There's even a trompe-l'oeil depicting the lavender fields of southern France. Iris, peonies, salvias and erodiums native to Provence add colour and movement. There's an even more parched feel, this time with its origins in the white beaches of the Canary Islands, to the extraordinary Borderstone Dingle Nurseries garden, which is dedicated to the genius and work of the painter, sculptor, architect and ecologist César Manrique. Manrique, who died in 1992, lived on Lanzarote, and Andrew Joseph's garden features real black volcanic rock. The flow of lava is represented by the red and oranges of nasturtium, geranium and impatiens. Over the last few weeks, there's been an unusually high level of activity in one particularly leafy suburb of Surrey. A succession of bags, parcels and packing cases has been arriving after an 8,000-mile journey from the other side of the world. 1997 sees the 50th anniversary of Indian independence, and to celebrate the event, His Highness the Maharaja of Jodhpur has sponsored a traditional Indian Mughal garden. Its centrepiece is a palatial tent, lavishly strewn with linen cushions embroidered with tiny mirrors to reflect the light. They're all made by native craftsmen who've managed to retain the ancient Rajasthani tent-making skills favoured by Maharajas and Mughals alike. Since April, designer Anthony Lockwood's garden at Ewhurst in Surrey has given other hints about what he's created for the Maharaja. A dozen Italian cypresses, underplanted by Iris sibirica to complement the lilacs and purples of the embroidery. And stored in giant greenhouses a few miles away, spindle palms from Miami.
We wanted to use a type of garden that was very peaceful, but something that hadn't really been seen and shown up before. So we've chosen the Mughal garden, which is often featured in palaces and fortresses around India, but especially through northern India and Rajasthan. The design is very geometric, so it is very simple. You've got 4 water rills, which are represented in the Quran, and with the 4 ingredients of life, which is milk, water, wine and honey. So they actually feed into the central fountain, and that creates the shape and style of the garden, and everything's then based off that.
Most designers get at least a year to plan, prepare and build their gardens, so it came as a surprise to Alan Sargent, having already completed one garden here, to be asked to help out in an emergency.
Well, due to a last-minute cancellation, we had 15 days, literally 2 weeks, to design and build and source 2 gardens. This is the Barclays garden. It's an everyday rear garden for everyday people. The blue pool to pick up the Barclays colours, the dovecots, the lawn. It's a very soft, very friendly garden. The alternative is the do-it-all garden, which is also very friendly, but this is the outdoor dining room. The barbecue, the patio, summer house, lighting, it's all there. The herbs, raised planter. It's a real garden or part of a much larger garden. And we completed both gardens in 15 days flat. We're very, very pleased.
Exactly 25 years ago, this field near Alresford in Hampshire was a mass of brambles and rusting cars. Today it's become one of the most successful pelargonium nurseries in Britain. In the last quarter of a century, Oakley Nurseries have won 14 gold medals at Chelsea, more than any other for displays of fuchsias and pelargoniums.
This one will need watering. I suspect some of these larger ones here and this one is going to need watering as well.
Yes, I think it depends on the size of the farm.
David and Jill Clark have watched different varieties of their pelargoniums rise and fall in popularity over the years.
When we first started exhibiting at Chelsea, the regal pelargoniums with the large flowers were by far the most popular. But in recent years, the angel pelargoniums with their masses of tiny flowers have been increasing in popularity. Some varieties don't show well in the marquee. It has a rather yellow light in there, and so some just exhibit better than others. The angel pelargoniums are the rising stars of Chelsea, or at least they are for us at the moment.
A beautiful woodland walk beside a stream is the focus of the Hilliers exhibit, inspired by the damp-loving plants of the Cornish Valley gardens of Treba and Heligan. The walk leads you through spring to the hot, vibrant colours of early summer. Then to the grass-like foliages of cordylines and phormiums of the seashore. The seaside is a strong and consistent theme at this year's Chelsea. From Southend Borough Council there's the Monk and the Fisherman's Garden, representing the 4 parishes of the town, including St Clement's, named after the saint who was martyred by drowning tied to an anchor. The garden is divided into 2 areas. One, a traditional monastic garden with herbs, flowers and medicinal plants. Follow the stream down and you find a shingle beach representing the town's fishing heritage. Here are the grasses of the seashore, planted in a contemporary naturalistic style, framed by the delicate pinks of Tamarix ramosissima, ideally suited to harsh climates. So gleaming and highly polished, they could almost be made out of porcelain, the immaculate vegetables of seedsman Thompson and Morgan. And there's a pale but interesting mix of vegetables and roses from Cants of Colchester. A selection of logs, mainly elder, collected from around their nursery in Ruthin, North Wales, was the starting point of a remarkable display of Streptocarpus from Dibley's, now exhibiting at their 10th Chelsea. Streptocarpus originate from South Africa, where they thrive beside streams and the mists of waterfalls. Judging takes place amid extraordinarily tight security. The RHS goes to great lengths to ensure that the deliberations of the judges are never overheard. A gold medal at Chelsea is not only prestigious, it's an extremely valuable marketing tool. Here, the judges are debating the virtues of a garden with an unmistakable theme. This is Bonnie Guinness's bird garden, where nest boxes and plants which are particularly suitable for nesting and for food value all conspire to attract wild birds from far and wide. With the semi-mature Prunus subhirtella autumnalis at its centre, this garden from DGAA Home Life is created with elderly people very much in mind. Now a little less shy about opening its doors to the public is one of the grandest gardens ever seen at Chelsea. Inspired by the great French couturier Yves Saint Laurent, it's based on a 1920s Moroccan botanical garden. Designed by Madison Cox, it combines vivid architectural elements with broad sweeps of exotic plants chosen for their stimulating shapes and textures. Another highly unusual garden comes from Age Concern. This is intended to be a highly stylised walk through life itself. Decisions are taken during a lifetime which affect the path followed, often offering surprising and unexpected opportunities. At the end of your journey through Christopher Pickard's Garden for Life, there's a nun to tick off your name and a brief moment for reflection. Those dreams of football glory turn out to be part of the bizarre fantasy world of the Ford's Boys' Own Garden, which is based on the excitement and discovery of childhood. Designer Paul Cooper's made good use of his memories as a boy growing up in the 1950s and 60s, when the garden became an imaginary battlefield. And beside the clumps of berberis and sweet Sicily, astilbes and foxgloves, the storm sewer proved ideal for the launch of a new battleship. All forgotten at a stroke, of course, with that first seductive look from the fair-haired girl next door. Memories played an important part too in inspiring Roger Platt's garden, which is built into an imaginary hillside and features a converted cattle shelter, which has now become a summer house. You can wander over the mellow brick pathways, past bountiful shrub roses and border perennials, all toned in soft, harmonious colours, to create a place to sit and tarry a while in a serene and gentle atmosphere. This year there seem to be even more new plants than ever. Pelargoniums from Swanland nurseries, including Bold Dawn, and Pelfy Flare, originally from Germany. The aptly named Celtic Cross from Bernkoos is a new rhododendron. David Austin is well known for roses, but this peony red charm is also new from him this year. And a blushing bride, a new lupin from Woodfield Brothers. Stephen Bailey's pinks include this one, so new they can't decide on a name. It'll be either Diamond Jubilee or Celebration, 75 years of the company. Peter J. Smith have a brand new Alstroemeria, Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother. Royalties from the sale of this plant will go to the Gardeners' Royal Benevolent Society. And to launch Pearl Sulman's 10th year at Chelsea and the centenary of the Suffolk Deaf Association, a new chance seedling, Pelargonium Sound Appeal. The Chelsea Flower Show is the place to see old favourites as well as new surprises. The ever-popular Busy Lizzies from Lime Tree Nurseries, Delphiniums from Blackmore and Langdon, tulips in profusion from Blom's Bulbs, and orchids from Burnham Nurseries. From all over the world they come to Chelsea. From Australia, the wonderful Banksias, including this Banksia boreae, or possum Banksia, so called because it looks like a possum in a tree. from Barbados, Kalanchoe beharensis, and the red ginger, Alpinia purpurata.
You know, very often we're accused of being fuddy-duddy and keeping the new designs away. We're encouraging new designs. We want to see as much new design as possible. And I think there are, in the gardens, there's some excellent designs, really high quality and originality, and a great range of designs.
An imaginative approach is taken by the team behind the Express Riverside Retreat Garden. It represents a bankside viewed from the river itself. Designed by Peter Hogan and David Edmonds, there's a disused boat dock giving access to the old boathouse set in the bank. The garden is set in the grounds of a country house. At the top there's the remnant of a formal garden with an obelisk and overgrown hedge. Below is an area of gravel for drought-tolerant plants. And below that, the riverbank plantings, all water-loving and able to withstand flooding. Eventually, your eyes drawn up and away from the water by a great splash of colour beside the boathouse, the focus of the garden. The first quarter of 1997 has been the driest since the 1920s, so when work on the Daily Mirror's garden for dry seasons began 3 weeks ago at Chelsea, it seemed one of the most significant gardens of this year's show.
Mainly it's all plants that could cope with drought, but not a total drought. So it is a garden that's going to be in England, so we will get some rainfall, which allows for the coldness of winter months, because in the winter it's not so much the water problem, but if it freezes, certain Mediterranean things that can withstand total drought can't withstand the cold. So we've got this balance of things that come from like Portugal and Mediterranean countries that can cope with both extremes. To start with the lower side here, we've got a fig tree which can withstand any amount of drought. As we move up, we've got Juniper hibernica, which is to give us column feel, and behind the benches we've got some big bushes of rosemary to give scent when you lean back on them. We've got some big clumps of eucalyptus, and then round here we've got birch, which can withstand both extremes. And there's osmanthus and elaeagnus, and loads of roses, and an olive tree, and yuccas and cordylines to give that bluey-grey, spiky texture which everyone associates with Mediterranean gardens. And in the front here, we've echoed that again with the gates, which is all spiky leaves of like cordylines and that, all in metallic colours to give us that richness of colour which everyone thinks of in hot, dry countries.
The result is a foretaste of what in the next millennium will probably become the typical English country garden. There's never normally a water shortage in Lancashire, the home of Douglas Knight, who once again produces a stunning recreation of a quiet mountainside stream which cascades down through huge 4-ton rocks into the valley below. This is Geoffrey Whiten's 25th Chelsea, and to celebrate, he's produced 2 gardens on one site. The first, Life Begins at 40, acts to encourage outdoor entertaining, rest and relaxation, including ceramic chairs. The second is the Golden Years Garden, created for the same couple who are now in their mid-50s. I think that bit's for the husband. Of course, Chelsea wouldn't be Chelsea without the roses, and there's a wealth of new varieties for 1997. From Mattock's, the Compass Rose was the winner of the Henry Edland Medal for its outstanding scent, and is inspired by the emblem of the Anglican Communion. Flower carpet gets its first showing at Chelsea this year. From David Austin, the Jeff Hamilton Rose, named after the much-admired gardener who died last year. The flowers are cupped at first, with the outer ring of petals dropping back and fading to white. Sophie's Rose collapses into an almost peony shape. Its vibrant, almost fluorescent colour celebrates the 25th anniversary of the Dyslexia Institute, while Charity commemorates the 70th anniversary of the National Gardens Scheme. From Peter Beals, there's Horatio Nelson and Yardley Baroque. From Harkness, Nipper is a space-filling ground cover rose that combines charm and beauty with usefulness. It's named after the terrier from his master's voice, featured in the EMI garden. Money from the sale of Perception will go to help the work of the National Institute for the Blind. It was specially chosen by people with sight problems because of its potent, fruity fragrance and dramatic coloured petals. And Rose of the Year in 1997 is Sunset Boulevard, full of showy vitality. It really is fit for centre stage. South Africa is a country with rich and remarkable flora. With over 22,000 species of flowering plants, it's unmatched in terms of its diversity by any equal-sized area of the planet. The inspiration for this year's Chelsea display again comes from Kirstenbosch, one of the world's great botanical gardens, and one of the first devoted to indigenous plants. 6,000 species cultivated in gardens, and some 900 more flourishing in natural areas. On offer here are the great floral treasures of the Cape, Restios, Proteas, and leucodendrons, all familiar to regular Chelsea visitors. Later this year, the garden will open a new multi-million-pound conservatory, which has taken more than 2 years to build. It'll mean that a further 1,000 species of South African plants can be put on display, most of which only survive because of the carefully controlled conditions here. Visitors to this year's Chelsea are able to preview the Kirstenbosch Botanical Cathedral. The South African stand is encased in a pyramid structure, echoing the unusual roofline of the conservatory. Unpacking after the long temperature-controlled flight is a delicate operation. Buried among the more familiar sights, there's Muthi, a range of medicinal plants traditionally produced by Zulu healers. They're grown in gardens not, as you might have gathered, for the aesthetic appeal, but for their validated healing properties as well as magical powers and protective charms against evil spirits. From Tokyo, the Royal Floral School is the first exponent of Japanese floral design to be invited to Chelsea. It's a hugely popular pastime in Japan. Founded in 1976, the school now has 140 branches throughout the country.
If you're coming here as a first-time exhibitor, the best thing to do is keep it simple. And that's exactly what the Embassy of the Philippines have done. They've staged just one plant. But what a plant! Medinilla magnifica. Great glossy leathery leaves with parallel veins and massive drooping flower tassels of pink surrounded by pink bracts. If you want to grow this at home, it'll need a large pot, a greenhouse where temperatures are fairly high, and the base of its pot sitting in water at all times. If you do that, you'll be able to grow it almost as well as this.
Someone else with just one plant on show, Raymond Evison of the Guernsey Clematis Nursery and his new clematis, Blue Moon.
Well, it really is a very compact plant, ideal plant for growing in a container for the patio of a small garden, and I think very, very pretty. You see, it has these lovely wavy edges to the tepals, and this lovely sort of lilac blue. It's suffused with this lilac blue, but it really is compact and it's strong, and it's really very good as a cut flower too. In the trial work that we've done leading up to the show, we've had flowers last for just over 2 weeks, so that really is very good.
Herbaceous perennials are here in their hundreds, courtesy of blooms of Bressingham. Golden variegated hostas mix with blue scabious. And the striking red spikes of ornamental rhubarb, Rheum palmatum rubrum. There's so much to see at the 1997 Chelsea. Over the years, flower arranging has become hugely popular. There are dozens of inspiring ideas for gardening on a postage stamp. And even for flowers that you can send through the post.
Of course, it's not just the plants that you'll find here. There are also the pots in which you can grow them. This'll take a small pelargonium, but if you've got something very large, then what you need is one of these, an amphora from southern Spain. One of those will set you back £20,000. It's just one of the pieces of equipment and artefacts that you can find here in profusion.
Another centenary celebration comes from Country Life, who've teamed up with Hiscox Insurance to create their debut Chelsea garden, intended to reflect the huge variety of interests covered by the magazine over the last 100 years. The garden's divided into traditional mixed borders, informal dry gravel plantings and a wild flower meadow behind. Convincing evidence that old and new can be successfully combined to create a country house garden for the next century. The ancient Oriental system of arranging our environment, called Feng Shui, which literally means wind and water, is the inspiration behind the Leeds City Council Askham Bryan College Garden, Growing in Harmony, designed by Paul Green. The layout of the garden, which is intended to demonstrate how a dynamic mix of elements can grow together in harmony, reflects a place like Leeds as a vibrant modern European city. It conforms to the Feng Shui principle of balance. Balance between warm and hot colours and cool pastel ones. And balance between shade and light. And the central focus in this garden of contrasts is a lacquered arbour. A stroll through a walled London garden offering a classical refuge from city life. A comfortable garden, not a trendy or a fashionable one, where calm and beauty are important. This is the aim of Tsar Tolmash's design for the Evening Standard. There are contemporary elements in the traditional scene. It all adds up to a successful reminder that the modern but subtle use of traditional materials can produce a wonderfully well-proportioned simplicity and harmony. You'd never guess you were in the heart of a city. and the central focal point, a boxed-edged bed of dazzling arum lilies. A mellow brick orangery is the centrepiece of Help the Aged Hello Magazine's garden, intended to meet the needs of elderly people and those with Alzheimer's disease. The orangery encourages residents of a care home to enjoy the garden in all weathers. Curved seats echo the circles that are everywhere in the garden. Plants have been selected with strong scent and tactile qualities to delight the visually impaired. The garden even includes alarm buttons to enable residents to summon help in an emergency.
It's an interesting fact that people with Alzheimer's disease are actually soothed by the fact that they can keep walking around and around on the same path. It's very comforting for them, and what we've done is a circular water feature, and around it runs a circular path. This is where anyone with Alzheimer's could walk around, keep active, not feel stressed by walking into new areas, that kind of thing.
It's not just the flowers that come under the media spotlight. Linda Evangelista with the new Yardley Baroque rose. Chelsea is the photo call of the stars.
Oh, I'm pretty, aren't I?
Oh, you are.
Oh, delicate.
Well, as we said on the letter, striking.
He's got a nice gardening hat.
Nicole from the Renault Clio ad with the 1997 FA Cup.
Do you want a big one?
I want a big
one.
one.
That's fine.
They want to see us go in.
No, they want to see you go in.
The stars of Disney's new West End musical, Beauty and the Beast. And no matter what the weather, Chelsea will always bring a smile to your face. Late on Monday afternoon, the first official visitors to the show arrive. Her Majesty the Queen, accompanied by the Duke of Edinburgh, are greeted by the Society's President, Sir Simon Hornby. The Duke of Kent discusses with Charles Notcutt the firm's centenary display, accompanied by his daughter, Lady Helen Taylor. The Princess Royal remarks that the weather turned out nice again. The Queen takes advantage of it and tours the outside gardens. Princess Michael of Kent points out the finer points of a campanula, accompanied by her husband, Prince Michael of Kent, Viscount and Viscountess Linley, and Princess Margaret, accepting on behalf of the Queen Mother a bouquet of princess lilies named in her honour. All cameras focus on the royal party, who, as usual at Chelsea, seem relaxed about the whole thing. And at 6:30, time for the royal gala proper. Canapes in abundance and champagne flowing.
Oh my God, this is not on film, is it?
Some people do like to be seen here. Others enjoy the flowers as much as the wine. Even the band seems to be playing the right tune.
On reflection, this must rank as one of the most refreshing and original Chelseas ever, from the Mughal gardens of the Maharaja to the volcanic lava of the Canary Islands, from the Provençal pad to the tiny English garden designed for drought. It's been a cracking Chelsea, and as we always say at this time, see you next year.
Now also available on video, a fascinating history of the Chelsea Flower Show using unique archive film and photographs. Tracing the history of the RHS from its creation in 1804, Memories of Chelsea brings you the highlights of 9 decades of the world's greatest flower show.